Now, thousands of homes have been left without power and a major incident declared as a localised tornado hits Greater Manchester. As Storm Gerrit sweeps through the UK, it's also causing chaos on the travel network, with wind gusts causing delays to road, rail, air and ferry transport. So joining us now from Waterloo Station is the Independent's travel correspondent Simon Calder. Simon, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is the disruption today?
I think we're probably now at about a 7. We were at an 8 or a 9 yesterday. I've just been rounding up where the latest problems are, if I may. And on the railways, it remains Scotland that has been worst hit. ScotRail has cancelled a large number of trains, in particular on the West Highland line, linking Glasgow with Fort William, Mallaig and Oban. We're also seeing lots of cancellations on the northern railways from Dundee and Perth to Aberdeen and Inverness. Of course, we saw huge problems in northern Scotland yesterday with motorists stranded in snow. The lack of availability of buses has concerned one person who's been in touch with me, who says, I've been in Stirling since yesterday afternoon when all the trains were cancelled, and there aren't any hotels tonight. Help, what can I do? I think there are going to be buses available, but as we can see, the roads are not as good as they might be. Turning, if I may, to other parts of the rail network. In England, we've got a couple of really significant problems. The first one is in on the West Coast Main Line, which links southern Scotland, northwest England and the West Midlands with London. We had a tree on the line between Rugby and Lichfield, and that caused a lot of problems there. And then on the Great Western Line, with great sadness, I must say that there was a fatality earlier today. London Paddington, the intercity hub for South Wales and the west of England, has seen trains disrupted pretty much all morning and going into the afternoon. Shall I tell you about the ferries? Shall I tell you about the planes?
Go on, Simon. I have a question to ask for a friend, though, first. Chances of trains to Aberdeen tomorrow?
Oh, I think that would be pretty good. OK, so let me tell you what the situation is. They are clearing the lines. They couldn't. Yesterday, it was a kind of domino effect across Scotland. It's quite extraordinary. Just one line after another, they were closing at ScotRail because of the extreme conditions, worse than had been forecast. Today, they couldn't start up any of those lines until they'd had a daylight inspection, and it gets sunrise is only just before 9 o'clock in Aberdeen. Today, it's very tricky. There are an awful lot of cancellations on the line from Dundee up to Aberdeen. By tomorrow, I'm pretty sure things will be back in place. And in addition, of course, there will be rail replacement buses, hopefully by then. Fantastic women and men doing great work to get people where they need to be.
Excellent. Now tell us about the planes.
OK, well, actually, if you're flying, maybe you're escaping, dare I say it, the extended family and heading off for the sunshine or maybe some winter sports, things are going all right. The only significant issues I'm seeing are at London Heathrow involving British Airways, which has now made 26 cancellations. Oh, crikey, I'm just looking at the picture there.
Yes, Simon, that's Big Jet TV showing a rather...
yeah, and that's a if I'm not mistaken, an American Airlines Boeing 777 showing just how fantastically professional pilots are and how safe aviation is. So I think that would be quite exciting if you were at the controls or indeed on board the plane. But don't worry.
Oh, I'm not sure about exciting, Simon. It looks terrifying.
Oh. Well, look, honestly, I never feel safer or more comfortable than when I'm on an aircraft, because formidable women and men who keep us safe. It's quite extraordinary. So we've got 26 cancellations. British Airways short-haul European and domestic flights to, for instance, to Newcastle, Manchester, Edinburgh, Glasgow. Now, the thing about those is that people will be rebooked on other flights, and so therefore it's, well, the airline is blaming air traffic control restrictions. So you saw that plane just now, very excitingly. They had to reduce the flow rate of flights coming into Heathrow because the weather is so exciting, and that's what triggers cancellations on British Airways. The ferries, meanwhile, in Western Scotland, the normally wonderful Caledonian McBrain ferry service, which probably could do with a few more ferries, but they've been cancelling a number of departures. The most recent fallers from Weems Bay across to the beautiful island of Bute. But people will be accustomed to that. And I have to mention Britain's only hovercraft between Southsea and Ryde on the Isle of Wight, still suspended, but you can use your ticket if you're lucky enough to have one for the hovercraft on the Fast Cat ferry from Portsmouth to Ryde instead.
So I guess the advice is very much check the travel route before you depart, because it's a very mixed picture there. 7 out of 10 for travel chaos. Thank you very much for your time, Simon. That's all we've got time for. Simon is, of course, the Independent's travel correspondent. So there you go. Now, is there more Storm Gerrit carnage to come? Annie Shuttleworth is a meteorologist at the Met Office. She joins me now. Thank you, Annie. Appreciate your time. So we've seen this localised tornado in Greater Manchester really wreaking havoc, causing quite a lot of destruction. We spoke to one of the homeowners who literally had the roof of their home just whipped off, just blown off the top, causing huge amounts of destruction that will be quite costly, I imagine. Are we expecting more gusts like that?
So yesterday we had a really disruptive day. We had Storm Gerrit, which did bring a localised potential tornado, but also some really strong gusty winds across the whole of the UK, as well as snow and heavy rain. So we had mass disruption due to all weather elements, snow, wind and rain. Now, we've still got low pressure with us, so it's staying unsettled through the rest of the week, but the winds are not quite as strong as yesterday, and we're not going to see as much widespread heavy rain as we did yesterday. So things will slowly improve through today and tomorrow, at least for those travelling, but we're still picking up the pieces from yesterday, so there's still, as we just heard, likely to be further travel disruption throughout today.
And am I right in thinking that we may see yet another storm, Storm Henk, I think it is, coming New Year's Eve, is that right?
So there's the potential to see some further stormy weather into the weekend, into Saturday. So we've got a new low pressure system moving in. Now, this time, the strongest winds are expected to affect the Republic of Ireland, but we could still see that low pressure system come through. If it is named, it would be Storm Henk, but we're looking at seeing some really strong gusty winds and heavy rain, a shorter lived spell moving through the country through the course of Saturday. So that's got the potential to bring some further travel disruption and delays to anyone who is travelling on Saturday, yes.
And Annie, is this normal for the time of year?
Yeah, we do. This is our sort of stormiest season for the year. Last year, we had a particularly quiet season for storms. We had to wait until August for our first named storm, which was very unusual. That was the longest wait we'd had since we'd started naming storms in 2015, in fact. But this year, we've already had 7 now. So we've got, which isn't a particularly high number, but it's fairly typical, as through autumn and into winter is when we see a lot of weather coming in off the Atlantic, and those low pressure systems that can be quite intense and become named storms, bringing that wet and windy weather to us.
Well, thank you very much for your time. Annie Shuttleworth, meteorologist at the Met Office. Appreciate it.